All right, welcome back to Two Idiots Doing a Sports Podcast. I'm Daniel, co-host Nate on the other side. Once again, we think we're better than Stephen A. Smith, which I think everyone at this point is.
Even better than Nick right now.
I will say, did you see how his uh, show trolled him with
I
all of
I
the?
literally looked up his show the day after just to see how bad it was. And Chris Broussard and I don't know the other guy. They did not disappoint. They
It
were
was
really, really
it
funny.
was so funny, and I was laughing the
Yeah.
whole time. And once he thought it was over, another one came
Another
around,
thing came
and
around.
it was great.
Good for
Um,
Nick though for being a good sport. I will give him that. He
it,
was a good sport about it. So
that
he
is
was,
fair. That is
although it
fair.
looked like he was on the verge of tears the whole time.
All right. So, unfortunately for us, we are in a lull of all of our sports.
Mhm.
Obviously, college football is over. Ohio State won the national championship about 3 weeks ago. The MLB, the free agency market is kind of dwindling down. At least for the MLB, they have at least reported most players, all pitchers and catchers have reported. And then for the NHL, we are unfortunately in a well, not unfortunately, it's kind of fun to watch, but we're in the Four Nations tournament, so there's not
Mhm.
a game every night.
Not a lot of news to cover, but
And
I mean, it's
yeah,
still something huge that's going to be talked about. And I don't know if you saw really quick to mention that over 1 million people tuned in to watch the USA game the other night. So
yeah. I mean, it
um,
was it was a lot of
a
fun.
lot of viewership, and I think this is finally a good idea to help grow the sport. So
Yeah,
good job, guys.
yeah. So we are gonna have a couple of probably things that are not as common as we
Hmm.
have had in the past. But we are going to roll with it and report things as they come in. One big MLB free agency happened over this week, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. And then we'll start with an icebreaker. It's kind of fun. We will start, and it's called Worst, Mid, and Best. We'll
Yeah.
both name who is the worst championship team of our lifetime, so from 1997 until now. Which team had the most mid season, so the most 500 season in the past 30 years, and then which team has the best logo or primary, which is their primary or alternate logo. Sorry,
And
tongue
I could
twister.
have should have clarified on that. That could have been for any time period. I stuck with what was active and
I
current,
did too.
but
Yeah.
um, but still. So since I came up with this, I could start. I'll just go through my list here. So I had a lot of contenders for worst team, mostly in baseball. Because the issue with the other sports, a lot of teams were just way too dominant. My worst NBA team was I was debating the Raptors, and even then
Hmm.
they won well over 50 games, and I think they were 1 or 2 seed in the Eastern Conference. So it's really hard to justify calling them the worst team in the last 25 years to have that sort of success. So, and unfortunately, my team here was a hockey team, and it's the 2011 LA Kings. I hate
Mm,
doing this to them. They earned the respect of what they did, but just looking at who they played in the latter half, um, they the first couple rounds they had a tough matchup against the first seeded Canucks, and then they ran into the second seeded Blues. So the top two teams of the Western Conference, albeit known as chokers, um, it's tough to say, man, they didn't have a tough playoff round. But the latter half, you got the Coyotes who were respectable, and I know they beat my Blackhawks that year, albeit dirty play. I don't want to talk about it. And then the Stanley Cup final was a six-seeded aging Devils team. And so just looking at their numbers, I mean, they were about 92, 93 points on the year, which roughly accumulates to about being 41 and 41. Plus minus is plus 15. They were really, flirting with being under 500 for an okay amount of the year until they kind of did their magical 2011 as a whole, by the way, was a whole bunch of teams doing this. St. Louis Cardinals, hate bringing that up around you, but I mean, for whatever dumb reason, every sport had a team that just hit a second gear in the playoffs this year. Kings being the one of them, but I was really debating the Cardinals too, because just on paper they were not that good. They needed a miraculous September to squeeze in. I just think, unfortunately, the difference for me between those two was the fact that the Cardinals took down tougher teams, and I think they had better talent at the time. The Kings were younger. Obviously went on to win a cup later down the road, a couple years, and were in a Western Conference Final versus the Blackhawks in 2013. So they were a good team, but they were really young and inexperienced. So I think I hate putting them here because I respect them, but you look at the last 25 years, you look from 1907 on, a lot of dynasty type teams or teams just loaded with talent. So there's just kind of limited there. So who'd you have here?
Yeah, so I also was in the hockey range.
Ooh.
I put the 97-98 Red Wings, Red Wings.
Whoa.
Looking up and down, I mean, they were 44, 23, and 15. So
15 overtime losses is a lot.
it almost evens out
Yeah.
to almost 500. But then on top of that, their top scorer only had 69 points. So, like,
I didn't know that.
that is
Wow.
very, very low. Because I was like, okay, maybe they weren't scoring as much in that time period, which they aren't. But
It was the dead era for scoring around that
yeah,
time, so that makes
but
sense.
still, there were guys scoring 90, 80, 70 points, and
Yeah.
the best Red Wings player was at 69.
Was that Yzerman?
Yes. And then their
Yeah, not
second
surprised.
leading scorer was a defenseman.
Oof.
So, like, their
Dang.
offense wasn't great. They won it all. So, I mean, congrats to you guys. But when you look just at their run statistically, it wasn't great. Like,
Didn't wow anybody.
they
Yeah.
weren't this dominant team going in. But they made it work. They made it happen. They won. So
I just figured they had a stacked squad. I
I
will
did
bring
too.
up the 11 Kings leading scorer only had 76. They only had one guy in the above 60. So that was kind of my reasoning there too. I think it was I don't remember who was leading scorer for them. I just saw there was 76 and there was a decent fall off there.
Yeah, and I mean the goalie for the Red Wings only had a 90% save percentage, so
Yeah.
not great either.
Yeah, I didn't even have them on my list, so that's interesting. Yeah, for me, that was the only team I looked at that at just at face value was the only one that made sense to me. But I hear you on that. Really, the baseball ones were hard. I was looking at 97 Marlins. I was looking at '01 Diamondbacks. Um, my issue with the Diamondbacks is they beat the Yankees.
Yeah,
I can't justify calling someone the worst team when you beat someone just out of, whole nother planet good. That's why, I couldn't do '07 Giants. If the Patriots won that game, very easily be talking about the '07 Patriots being the greatest team of all time. They'd at least be in the discussion, right? And they were in the discussion going into that game. So that's why I couldn't justify putting the Giants there. Pretty mid regular season, but when you beat Brett Favre and Tom Brady in the playoff run, um, I can't call them the worst. The other team I was debating, though, was a Giants team. That second Giants team was mid. Patriots should not have lost that game. But so speaking of mid, we're gonna go with the most mid teams last 30 years. I kind of cheated here. I kind of took a team that was mid for a 6 year stretch, and that is the Milwaukee Bucks. Holy crap! From '01 to '06. I gotta find this. I wrote this down. '01, 41 and 41. '02, 42 and 40. '03, 41 and 41. '05 and '06, 40 and 42. Now, I skipped a year there. They did only win 38 games. They were pretty bad in '04, '05. But Man, talk about a stretch that was just insanely mid, and especially in an Eastern Conference that just always sucks. For example, the Celtics in that '03 season were an 8 seed at 36 and 46. My goodness.
That's crazy.
So and in that year too, the Heat were the 4 seed at 42 and 40. Holy crap. And so it might be a little hard to justify as like, man, it's just, if you're only 41 and 41 and the conference is that's bad, probably hard to, I can understand why people wouldn't think that's justifiable. They would probably be a lot worse in the West, but I just think when you're consistently hitting 500 in that kind of a stretch, um, despite coming off an Eastern Conference Finals run the year prior, I believe, against the Sixers, um, I just had to go with it. I had a ton of other teams I was looking at though. The other one being the 18 Pirates. I think they were like 81 and 81. I think literally just, even at home and the road, I think they literally only had a plus minus of like 1 or 2. It was really close. They were just wholly mid. That was my other team I was looking at.
Yeah, I mean, the team that I found, unfortunately, was way farther back than it's almost it's actually 40 years at this point. Was the Minnesota Twins.
Yeah.
When in '84 they were literally 500, 81 and 81, and their plus minus was 2. So like they were mid, but staying within the realms of possibility, I chose the 2011. I think it was 2011. Yeah, Toronto Blue Jays. Um, they were also 81 and 81. But then you look up and down their lineup. Jose Bautista, which we don't say that name around here, was the only player on their roster to have above 300 average. And then on top of that, the only pitcher that had a sub 3 ERA during that time was their ace. The other guys had a 5 and up.
Halladay was a different animal, man. Unless no, actually that was past that because Halladay was on that World Series team. I think
their guy was Ricky Romero.
Oh man, that's a name that I forgot he was a starter. I thought he got converted after a while.
And then on top of that, every other pitcher on that roster
bombs
was either 11 and 11 was their best one after Romero, and then the rest of them had a losing win-loss ratio.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
In my opinion, they were also, I think, stuck within the 500 range. Like they were losing 1, winning 1 for 33 games. So
that's crazy.
Which is wild.
That's a wild stretch of mid. That I don't know, chat. That's pretty mid. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, yeah. Eventually my plan is to try to put together some spreadsheets that we can look at least for teams like last 20 years, and then we can like objectively determine stuff like this. And I'd base it off WAR. I know there's people out there like, Nate, WAR's a terrible way to judge it. I was like, I don't think it's a bad way to judge it at all, but I know there's just different ways you can look at these things, and we'll once I put all that together, we can come back to questions like this and kind of determine it more objectively, but just based off gut feeling and looking at things at face value, at least knowing the context, because I did have a couple teams I was like, ooh, they might be good, but then you remember, oh well, that guy got hurt, or oh well, they were getting a lot older. There's one other team, Blake might be thinking this, I don't know, is that the Red Wings post 2013 were getting pretty freaking mid for like 5 years, trying to keep their playoff streak alive. But in the context of things, they were, a bunch of their guys were like 38, 39. Like for me, you have to be, average age. You got to be just average across the board. So if like even something like age is impacting you, at least understanding it, I can't justify it. So maybe the Milwaukee Bucks are old, but I'm going to rock with it anyway, because who cares about NBA and the Eastern Conference, and no offense, the Milwaukee Bucks. So the last question we had was what logo are we gonna do we think is the best? I just stuck with the Ducks. Just
Mm.
I mean, I wish they would adjust their colors, but man, that duck logo is so sick. Um, and it's just not much to say about it. It's really popular in the sport. Um, you have a whole series franchise of the past Mighty Ducks and all that, and those jerseys back in the day clean. I just get rid of the orange crap and you're good. The orange just looks goofy. Um, so if they just change the colors, the other one I really like the Sharks. Um, trying to be more objective. I think the Blackhawks logo. I like the Blackhawks logo better, but I think what the Sharks logo does is really cool. Biting the hockey stick's pretty sweet. I think people hate on it a little bit. Don't know why. I think it's a cool logo. So that'd be the other one I like. But where'd you go here?
Yeah, I mean, Anaheim's is always one
Yeah,
of the best.
yeah.
But that was my first one. But to be different, Seattle. I like Seattle's a lot.
Mm.
I think it's a really cool logo.
The Kraken, I'm assuming. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, the Kraken. Yeah,
Yeah. That
very
one is sick.
simple, but also very sick at the same time. I like the S, the way the S was made, and then on top of that, that little red eye
The eye.
was honestly, I think that elevated the logo farther than what it already was. But yeah, I know they're a relatively new team, so they were able to do a little bit more with it. But I mean, you see Utah.
All right. Golden Knights are a new team, and their logo. I mean, like it's not bad, but it's underwhelming in my opinion.
Yeah.
Considering how new you are, and they could have done a lot better. Especially the mascot. It being a knight could have done a lot better with it. And to add on to that really quick, the color scheme. I mean, obviously you had to go that route. Like you couldn't go any other way. Maybe some sort of green, but that I don't know if that would have hit the same. I know a lot of people don't like the Stars colors. I think that delusional green in general just not been very popular in the hockey community, or like the tealish, the Sharks ones too. I know a lot of people don't like the Sharks colors. Don't understand why. They're clean. But yeah, I think the color schemes for the Kraken really complement that logo very well. It suits their where they're at, and yeah, I can see that. They did a great job. They did a great job. So, all right. If you don't have any other thoughts here, I have my loser team of the week really quick. And when I mean loser team, it's not a team; it's a whole entire organization. NBA, your website is garbage. It is so unbelievably bad. Holy crap. First of all, I'm looking to find my mid team, right? And in like 2003, '04 and up, they are literally have teams like the Cavaliers when they won 16 games had the X marks next to their name saying they clinched a playoff spot. And they had like teams at the 2 and 3 seed with the E for eliminated or whatever it was. And I was like, what is going on? How in the world do you screw up this bad? You're a $1 billion organization and you can't manage a stupid website. Second of all, they don't let you sort standings by the entire freaking league. You know who does? Literally everybody else. MLB does it. NHL does it. NFL does it. Why? Because it makes sense. Why would I only want to see conference or division? Some people, I mean, it's more practical to look at division or conference for a lot of stuff, especially in the current year you're looking at. If you're rooting for a team, you're not usually worried about the other conference until down the road. But when people are trying to look for historical records and stuff like this, how hard is it to include something like this? It's unbelievable that in 2025, their site cannot do this. So I just had to clown on the NBA. You should be embarrassed. You're the worst sport of the four. Your ratings are declining. You got superstars getting traded for a bag of chips. Your sport is a joke. Your website is a joke. Adam Silver, just retire, bro. Should be embarrassed. So I just had to hate on them for a minute. Most mid, you know what? Screw it. I take back my most mid team. I'm just going to throw in the entire NBA. Most mid. It's just unbelievable. You know what? Not even that. Because you have to at least be competent. So I take that back again. The NBA is not competent. So clearly, it can't handle a freaking website and say who's eliminated. Whatever. So, if you didn't have a team, did you have a loser team of the week or no?
No, I
You
don't,
don't
but I
have
do.
to.
I do have a comment.
Okay.
I saw something on Instagram this week where I can't forget who said this, but someone made a comment, like an actual analyst made a comment saying that the SEC is the best conference to play basketball in because they go 82 and 82 against each other, and there was
Holy mid.
no. What's the funniest thing is you have to go 82 and 82. You can't have two winners of one single game.
Yeah, you're not, duh, I'm stupid.
And I was like, come on. You literally did not just say that as an analyst.
That's so
So I
funny.
guess not loser team of the week, but loser guy of the week.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, mine wasn't a team either. So works out. The reason I just reacted there, obviously, it won't make sense if you're listening. ACU and Illinois are playing each other in baseball. Illinois tied the game. But the fact that we're saying Illinois tied it means ACU was winning at one point. It's 9-9 right now.
That's
I
crazy.
was this close to going that game today, but I will be going tomorrow. I don't know if I should be proud or embarrassed. Probably a little bit of both. Just typical Illinois behavior. But ACU does own the Big Ten for whatever stupid reason. Swept Michigan State a few years ago. They beat Nebraska. They beat I think they beat one other team as well from there. So just rent free Big Ten. You can't handle the whack. So it wasn't another Big Ten team. It was Baylor. We own Baylor. Those
Yeah.
bums. So
We also have won a couple against TCU also.
that's true. That's true. Now Texas, we're not close to touching
No,
them.
no, no, no.
They drop 20 on us every game. It's so bad. But that makes more sense. So I just had to throw that out there. ACU shout out. Looking forward to going to that game tomorrow. You know, it's going to be 12 hours of total driving to sit for 3 hours. It's going to be brutal, but it's going to be a lot of fun. Clearly, pitching is not going to be relevant in this series, I don't think. So I'm really excited to see some dingers, and hopefully ACU can pull out today and maybe even tomorrow. But regardless, I feel good about ACU baseball. Clearly, they're going to be pretty competitive again if they're keeping up with it. Usually, Illinois is at least decent in baseball, not anything that powerhouse by any means, but they're usually okay. So I'll definitely take what they're doing right now. So couple quick things. Transitioning over to NHL, this is really our only news, minus maybe one thing for MLB. But we were going to cover one trade. Blake, I apologize, we missed this last week. So Vancouver acquiring another Pedersen. They're trying to, collect the Infinity Stone of Pedersens in the NHL, having three now by getting Marcus Pedersen and Drew Connor of the Penguins for Danton Heinen and Vincent Descharnais, a prospect and apparently a first round pick. I don't remember it being that much, but I copied and pasted that. So, what are your thoughts here? I think Pittsburgh has got a pretty decent haul. Getting a first round pick for the first time, it seems like in 30 years, does seem to be pretty helpful.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all know that Pittsburgh's coming to an end with
Washed.
Sydney and Malkin. So I feel like getting the first round pick is a good thing for them. Get another prospect in their system, along with most likely their own pick too. So I feel like overall, I think they maybe are starting to accept that, they're either going to have to start the rebuild or have to go sign players to not go through a rebuild. But either way, I think they're starting to see that they're getting old and they got to figure something out.
Yeah, really started trading for Carlson. that kind of killed them. I just from the get go did not like that deal for them, considering they were consistently being bounced out of the first round pretty handily a couple years prior to that move happening. So, or not making it entirely. So they kind of stripped themselves of being able to draft in the first round and to contend for. Oh, you lost in 6 instead of 5. Congratulations. Sorry, Blake, but just trying to do something similar that Detroit did, and you see Detroit now. They took quite a while to kind of get back to where they're at right now, and even then they're struggling to get back in. So I just gotta hope for Pittsburgh's sake that does not, doesn't last as long as what the Red Wings rebuild is, or Chicago's, which is still going on. Bunch of clowns, but whatever. We're not topic of conversation today. Seth Jones, you suck. There we go. And the other thing I was going to get in was the start of the Four Nations tournament. So we both first 2 games were played. So Canada took on Sweden. And Sweden was down 3-1, fought back, tied the game, lost in overtime. I believe Mitch Marner scored the game winner. The other game being USA embarrassing Finland. Finland did score first, but allowed 6 unanswered. 4 of those goals coming in the third period. So pretty competitive 40 minutes, but Finland... obviously a couple power play goals for Team USA, but overall, just clearly completely outmatched by the third period by the Team USA. What are your thoughts here as USA takes on Canada Saturday, especially with all the booing on both sides for the anthems? And then Sweden and Finn will take on each other as well. I think 12 o'clock Saturday. So
Yeah,
what are your thoughts so far, and what are your thoughts on those matchups?
Yeah, I'm excited for the matchups to come. They, I think, will be really heated. Sweden doesn't like Finland. I saw, once again on Instagram, some NHL people were asking them to name one good thing about Finland, and 90% of the team said nothing.
Nah.
And just kept walking.
Shout out to the guy, by the way, really quick, that said they like Jesper Bratt. And I think it was Eric Alla. I thought that was pretty funny. He did not sound Finnish at all, so that was hilarious. But sorry.
it was honestly. I think it's gonna. I think both games are a lot. There's a lot of heat going into them. They don't like each other. Obviously, as an American, we don't like Canada. Mm-hmm. I think we're on the same playing field now as Canada, so they don't have that powerhouse alone anymore. So it's gonna be fun to watch. As for the games that already happened, honestly, it was really fun to watch Sweden and Canada. I had no dog in the fight. Obviously, I wanted Sweden to take down Canada as an American, but to watch that game with not really rooting for anyone was honestly a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. I didn't think I would have as much fun watching it, but Sweden honestly keeping up with Canada and being able to tie it and unfortunately losing overtime. But I don't think it wasn't, in my opinion, Sweden's fault didn't lose in overtime because of themselves. Bennington just decided to turn it on when overtime happened. Sweden had 3-4 good chances in the overtime period, and Bennington seemed to be right there on all 3 or 4 of them. Sweden could have ended that game, but I'm just happy it went into overtime. Canada lost a point, only got 2 out of it, so we'll see how that'll affect them down the road. Mm-hmm. Honestly, also the U.S., even though it was 6-1, the U.S.-Finland game was also fun to watch. Finland, unfortunately, has lost like 3 of their defensemen, 3 of their 6. Miro obviously went down early in the year against Vegas, so he unfortunately doesn't get to play, and there's a couple of others. So that seemed, I think, from what they said on the broadcast, were more offensive. So unfortunately for Finland, they lost some of their offensive defensemen, or that can create some of that offense. So, like you said, they were in it for 40 minutes. For those 40 minutes, it was a nail biter. You, Finland could have tied it at any point. But once I think the U.S. made the change from Eichel or from Matthews to Eichel on that line with the Kachuk brothers, and moving one of the Kachuk brothers up to that line, I
Mm-hmm.
think that unlocked something for them, and I'm excited to see what they do. I mean, they had 4 goals
They're
combined,
nasty. Yeah.
so I'm excited to see what we do against Canada. Obviously, in a sense, none of the 4 nations matter. It's all just a prep for the Olympics. But honestly, they've been a lot of fun. I've enjoyed them.
Have you seen the size of that trophy? I think it matters a little bit because that trophy's it's pretty freaking big. Um, but yeah, I think shout out to the Kachuk brothers. I'm not a fan of either one of them to be honest, but when it comes to playing for our country, there are 2 guys we definitely want on our team. Just both really quick guys. Obviously, both also pretty physical players. More particular, Brady. So to have a guy that can score and throw the body is huge, and be able to skate as fast as he can. Brady looked about as fast as you could be on the ice in that Finland game, and definitely turned on another gear when he was playing with his brother. So I think it's a really cool opportunity for him to be able to do. It's not doesn't happen very often, minus maybe it's like the friggin' Stahl brothers because they had like 15 of them. Um, but yeah, so I think Team USA looked really good. I think I feel really confident. Connor Hellebuck did his thing. I would play Ottinger at the end of the day on Saturday because we know what Hellebuck does when pressure's on him. He folds. So put in a guy that's more is more used to putting the team on his back. But no disrespect, Hellebuck. It's not just you. It is a Jets thing, just in general. But yeah, I think Canada is going to regret not bringing on Logan Thompson. I don't understand what the decision was there because Jordan Bennington is a clown. Respectfully, Jordan, do understand I'm a Hawks fan, so of course I'm going to clown on you. And you didn't even fight in that one game, Blake, and I saw you in person. You almost fought and you didn't, you coward. It was the ref's fault. But it would have been sick to see him fight in person, though. But yeah, I think the USA Canada matchup's going to be really good. I think Canada's going to be testing whoever's in net, probably Hellebuck again. I don't know how that's going to work, but obviously they have a ton of star power. I think defense, like the top of the top, Canada's definitely got us beat. But USA is caught up in depth. We definitely have a lot of great goal scorers now. Austin Matthews in particular. We know what that dude can do. And I think at the end of the day, when you have as good of a defensive core, pretty even on both sides, USA's might be a little bit better, but goaltending is going to matter. And if Bennington does not figure it out, or I forgot who was their other goalie, to be
I
honest,
think it's
Aiden Hill.
Yeah.
Aiden Hill, yeah. Oof. Should have stuck with Thompson, Vegas. I'm just saying, but when there's a pretty decent mismatch in the net between Hellebuck and Ottinger versus those two. So I think that's going to provide a huge advantage for Team USA. And I think Sweden will pull out versus Finland. I think it's unfortunate. Team Finland, it just sucks that all the injuries are happening to them now. And I think that clearly showed in the game against USA. It's going to be really hard to face teams like USA and Canada and Sweden when you can't keep your guys healthy, which is unfortunate. They got a ton of great talent, obviously, because they're one of the 4 teams in this tournament. So, but I'm looking forward to driving and I don't drive and text people. I'm not endorsing that, but I look forward to having the games on at least the ESPN score while I'm driving or at the game, keeping track of those. So should be a lot of fun. So now we will move on to MLB. Got a couple things to discuss, and then we got a couple of guess the players for you. We'll come to that at the end, though. I don't know how many I'm going to do. I grabbed as many as 5, but since we're at 30 minutes, I think 2 or 3 might suffice. So the 2 things we're going to discuss. First of all, Nick Pivetta went to the Padres. I saw. So that was a good pitcher to snag for them. I didn't see the terms of the deal, but good to see the Padres get him. And then Alex Bregman going to Boston, 3 years, 120 million, so 40 million, and was confirmed he will play second base.
Hmm.
So that'd be interesting. So now the Red Sox are paying 65 million a year for their middle infield. Trevor Story and Alex Bregman, a lot of money, but 2 opt-outs in that contract. How how do you think that he'll fit, and do you like this move?
Um, I think Bregman kind of got what he wanted. Maybe not exactly what he
Not
wanted.
in terms of length, but yeah.
I think he wanted a little bit more lengthwise. I think it's around the type of money that he would
Mm-hmm.
want. But I saw that a couple of other teams, the Tigers being one of them, I think the Astros were also one of them that offered him 6 years, but it was also like a 6 year, 150,
150, yeah.
160 kind of deal. Um, Honestly, I would have loved to see him go to the Tigers, but obviously that didn't happen. It's going to be interesting. Um, I think he can fit on that team with, I mean, because if Story gets hurt, which unfortunately for him, he has a history of, Bregman also used to play shortstop, so you could always swap him in there or just let your young guys take that. Um, but I think overall, it gives them more pop in their lineup, and Bregman honestly has been a consistent hitter over the years
Mm-hmm.
and gets on base and drives and runs. So I think for them, I think Boston, honestly, I think had a pretty good offseason. We heard that Boston was going to be all in, but I think they've done these little moves that have really been underrated, and I think we'll really see what happens whenever the season starts. But I think Bregman's a good sign, maybe a little much. He's getting paid the same as Aaron Judge, and I don't think they're on the same playing field.
No.
But like, I mean, if it's a 1 year thing, it's a 1 year thing, and you move on from it. Doesn't affect you the other 2 years. But I think good move for Boston. I think Bregman. It's a good move because you got that short left field. So maybe have some more extra base hits, a couple more home runs. Someone will come pay for you next year. Or if you don't have a good year, then you stay on the team another year and you play another year and you have a good
Mm-hmm.
year after that. Then you opt out again. So yeah, I think for both sides, it's good. Boston, if they're not satisfied with how he does this year, be like, nah, we're good. And if Bregman has a good year and it's like, hey, I told you so, I can do it. It's good for Bregman too.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a good fit. And my roommate, who's a Yankees fan from New Mexico, just he's got a beef with this guy. You know, first of all, hates the Astros and what they did in 17. Um, Bregman's dad is, I don't know if he's somehow involved politically in New Mexico, so he hates his dad. And now Bregman going to Boston just adds another level of hatred he has for Alex Bregman in particular. I think it's really funny. I was actually shopping today. I saw a Red Sox shirt on sale for discount. I almost got it just to irk him, but I did not decide to do that because I've been spending a lot of money lately. But not relevant. I think that's a good move for Boston. It is hefty. The thing is, you know, even though it's not Aaron Judge in the regular season, um, obviously there's questions about Bregman showing up in the postseason because of 17, right? But for the most part, he has shown that he can show up. Um, just left with questions as to the legitimacy of his playoff performances, but they're still um, far more valuable than what Aaron Judge has ever done. Minus 2017. I'm not going to count 2017. But, you know, whereas Aaron Judge is dropping balls, he's striking out like every other at bat. He's grounding into double plays. He's just not showing up when he needs to show up. And I think Aaron Judge is getting paid a lot more than he should be because he's not. You get paid that kind of money, you gotta be. It's not a one-way street. You can't just do all this work in the regular season and then just tap out. You got to show up. So Yeah, it might be a lot of money for Bregman, but um, post 2017, he's shown he can show up. But like I said, there are questions, as a lot of people question is the validity of his playoff performances. But so I like that move for them, and then um, I think it'll be a decent fit for Boston. You can move them around second, third, short, as you mentioned. Um, so I think he'll put it in the next gear. And then really quickly, you mentioned Boston had making good moves. MLB insiders actually had they decided two best moves of the offseason. One, go to the Cubs. They're saying Kyle Tucker was a really good move, and I think I'm not willing to jump the train yet because of the whole arbitration issue, and it seemed like an extension might get a little murky. But if they can extend him, I would agree because they did not give up a ton to get Kyle Tucker. And the other one was the Red Sox moved Garrett Crochet, and that was I think Boston gave up a little bit more, but it seems like they're going to extend him because Crochet was hyped when they signed Bregman. So I think he's going to fit in with them long term, and I do think that's probably a I could probably agree with that being a move of the offseason. I don't know if it's the move. I'd have to look back and see what I say, but that's what MLB insiders are saying. So Boston did have a good offseason based off of that anyway. So last quick thing before we go into guess the player. What a shocker. Death, taxes, the Browns missing the playoffs, 50 feet of crap, and Anthony Rendon. Holy crap. I just need to remind the people, when Anthony Rendon first signed with the Angels, you were pissed. You wanted him bad. Good old Texas boy. You wanted him to come over to the Rangers, and my goodness, you were like just slamming the owners for not spending the money. And while maybe they should have been spending monies in other places, dodged a massive bullet because hear this stat out. Ted Williams, and from 1940 to 1945, he fought in a war, by the way. So he missed multiple years. Has played more games than Anthony Rendon has in his 5 years as an Angel. A bro actually fought in a war. Like that is just mind-numbingly stupid. I found this out today on AJ Przinsky's podcast, and I gotta say, might be the worst contract of all time. If you have a stat like that going against you, that is so bad. So I'll have you have a quick reaction to let that settle in and see what your thoughts on Rendon. I think being out for the year again.
Yeah, I saw this and I was like, okay, that's a good joke. And then as I looked into it, I was like, oh no, they're serious. Like this is real. I was like, oh my, not again.
Oh,
At this point, just drop him and eat the contract.
yeah,
He's not
seriously.
helping you in any sort of way.
No.
Yeah, I don't have much. What did he do? Get hurt walking down the stairs? I mean,
Gosh, people slam Anthony Davis for his injury problems, but at least Anthony Davis shows out when he's on the
yeah,
court.
at least Anthony Davis still plays like 50 games a year.
Yeah,
This man's
bro,
playing like
shows
4.
up like, and it's not even that. He shows up as an All NBA defensive player, All NBA, just in general. So like, I'll give AD that much. Like, he's not just balling out; he's top 15, top 10 on the court. Anthony Rendon is top 10 whiner and top 10 most pathetic people on earth. So
I mean, didn't he start the year like? I remember us joking about it. Didn't he start the year like 0 for 50 or something like that?
He was flirting with beating Chris Davis's record. I do remember that. I think it wasn't quite to that extent. He was definitely in the mid 30s to lower 40s. He's so you think the Angels are blowing my mind with how many bad contracts they've had. Mo Vaughn, they've had freaking Albert Pujols, which I guess to be fair, he at least hit a lot of home runs for them. It just wasn't the same Albert Pujols. Josh Hamilton.
They also just signed Kyle Hendricks after an abysmal year.
Yeah, I don't know what the Angels are doing. they throw out a lot of money and get very little return. But hey, at least you beat Barry Bonds, so I'll give him that much. So that's all we had for MLB, except for the fact that we had a couple guess the players here. So I got to pull those up really quick. And we are going to, well, you know what? We'll have to remember how I want to format this. So I got to go to Instagram. So basically, for those that didn't hear this last time, basically on Instagram, you just guess, you're given teams on the first slide. For the player, you have to try to guess who it is. And then if you don't know the teams, you're given the years. And so Instagram is not cooperating right now. What the heck? Well, I can. Okay, let me just do it this way right now because I know one of the players I was going to use. So I'm just going to Google this guy until I could get Instagram to cooperate for maybe the second one. So I'm going to go to Baseball Reference. Thanks a lot, Instagram. My internet's being dumb. Okay, well, he's a pitcher. Also, I'll give you that. And I can't remember who all he's played for. There we go. But he started with the Reds, went to the Yankees, went to the Cubs, back to the Yankees. He's played on the Pirates. He's played with the Rangers, and he's currently with the Royals. I believe he's currently with the Royals. So, oh no, he just signed with the Red Sox. So, if I could get my stupid internet to work, my phone is just selling.
The Reds to the Yankees to the Cubs back to the Yankees is what you said?
Correct.
Okay. The Rangers. Who do we get? They can't be. The only guy that came to my mind really quickly was David Robertson, but he played for Philly, so it's not him. Can't be him.
Okay. I lied. It's flipped. So it was Reds,
Okay.
Yankees, Cubs, Yankees. I knew those four. Royals, then Rangers, then Pirates. That's my bad. And now he's with the Red Sox. He just signed with the Red Sox in the offseason.
Is it Martin Perez?
No. Do you need the years?
Yeah.
2010 to 2015, he was a Red. And then in the same year, he was a Yankee to start 2016, ended the year with the Cubs in 16, and then was with the Astros in 17 to 22. Royals 23, Rangers 23. So he was a part of the Rangers World Series team.
It's Chapman, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I thought you would have gotten that, but I think to be
forgot
fair,
about him.
Yeah.
I forgot he was a Ranger.
It didn't help. Freaking, my phone chose the worst time to not cooperate. Let's go with this one. This one's gonna be a little bit harder. So he is first baseman / designated hitter, at least off the top of my memory. He might have played a little bit outfield. I don't think so though. So I would just lock in first base / DH. Started with the Astros, went to the Yankees, Cardinals, and then ended with the Rangers. This one's gonna be hard.
Will you list the teams one more time?
Astros, then Yankees, then Cardinals, then Rangers.
Yeah, so it's not who I thought it was. It's not the guy that... it's not Moreland. Moreland is the one who initially came to my mind, but he didn't end as a Ranger, so it can't be him. First baseman. Did he play first base for the Rangers? Do you know?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. It's not Teixeira.
Actually, he might have been DH. It was only 1 year with the Rangers. Okay. It was his last year. So it might have been DH.
It's not Palmeiro. Because he played more than 1 year with us. All right, well, you give me the years.
Yeah. So this is where you're gonna have to think a bit. That Astros 1999 to 2010, Yankees 2010, Cardinals 2011 and 2012, Rangers 2013.
Oh wow!
Yeah, making you think on this one,
For
but
some odd reason. You want to know who came to my mind?
who?
Not Yadi Molina. Benji Molina.
Oh, Benji Molina.
I
That
know
would
it's
be
not
interesting.
him, but I don't know why he came to my mind. 2013 was the year, no, 2 years after.
He did play a little bit of first base with the Rangers,
Yeah, I don't
but
know.
he's primarily, you don't know?
No, I can't
Okay.
think of it.
Lance Berkman.
Ah, yep.
I did go a little bit further
Yep.
back on that one.
He did play DH for most of it. I do
Yeah, I
remember
was
that
gonna
now.
say, yeah, he was older,
I
but
didn't
it said he
realize.
played at first base with St. Louis.
I thought he was
So
that. I thought he was with St. Louis for longer than that.
I thought so too, but it was
Wow.
just the World Series team, and 1 year after that, and
Yeah.
I didn't know he played for the Yankees at all.
I do
I
remember
had,
now. Now that I know who it is, I do remember him briefly playing for the Yankees.
yeah, I did not remember that. We have a couple things to go into college football, and might try to squeeze in one other thing. We got about 10 minutes left here, so I got a couple other of those for another time. But going into college football really quick, ACU, our alma mater, decided to think they watched Purdue this year and thought, yeah, let's hire their offensive coordinator to be our offensive coordinator. So I believe is it Graham Harrell, something like that.
Yeah, I don't know.
You'd think I'd learn it by now because I clowned on this dude at least 50 times, but he has not earned the respect to remember the name. And I think I got it right, but yeah. For those that don't watch college football, Purdue went 1-11. Although to be fair, they scored 49 on my Illini, so Illinois things. But any thoughts? And should we be concerned about ACU football taking a step back in offense this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think they'll take a step back for multiple reasons, but
Yeah,
I definitely think I don't think this is the guy that we want.
no,
Unfortunately, our offensive coordinator left, rightfully so. When you have a year like you did last year, I mean, why wouldn't you go somewhere else that's better, or not better, but like a better D1 program? So yeah, I don't
no.
know. Well, I guess we'll see what happens when they actually put the offense on the field. But I honestly don't really have much hope.
I don't have a lot of hope, but Keith Patterson has proven us wrong time and time again. And I think he's at least earned the respect to give him the benefit of the doubt until proven otherwise. He's not like Adam Dorrell throwing a screen pass on 3rd and 37,
That's fair.
2nd and 26, and first down. My goodness. Wow, you threw 8 screens in a row. What could be coming next? And then, do you remember, who was the quarterback that would only come in for runs? Do you remember his name?
Oh, I don't remember.
I forgot, but basically, for those that don't know, this coach was a bum. Literally the most predictable guy ever. Yeah, I don't know how he won championships in D2, but yeah, he would like throw screen passes like every play, and shocker, they never worked. And then when our main guy Luke Anthony wasn't throwing, they brought in a backup that was for designed runs, and what a shocker, it didn't work either because our play scheme was so predictable. But just had to throw that out there. And Dorrell, you stink. Keith Patterson's an ACU legend. The other thing we're going to bring up, shout out to Ohio State. They might be the loser team of the week because they interviewed Matt Patricia, looked at his resume, and said, "Huh, you blew the 2018 Super Bowl against the Eagles. You let Nick Foles score 43 on your defense. Huh, you got fired by the Lions and argued as one of the worst coaches in team history. Huh, you ruined Mac Jones. And you took an offense that was middle of the pack and made the playoffs with him year one to being dead last. Yes, you're the guy to run our defense. Unbelievable. What are your quick thoughts on that?"
Yeah, I mean, it's hard losing both of your coordinators in 1 year.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, one of your defensive coordinator going to Penn State.
Oof.
So that's tough. But I don't think they're going to struggle. I think their defense is going to struggle. They have really good playmakers on that defense. So I'm not going to say it's going to be the end of the world. Those guys are still going to make their plays. But I think the scheming of it will not be as good, and I don't think their defense will be as dominant as they were, especially in the college football playoff.
Yeah, I agree. Uh, just knowing firsthand, watching this dude, the only thing he was good at was conning Roger Goodell, which kudos to him, to be fair. I'll give anybody brownie points for conning on that idiot. So, but that's about as all he was good for. So, before people say, well, he was the defensive coordinator the first time, he never got the label of it. That was all Bill. It was all Bill. When it was good, and when it was bad, I do think it was Patricia. So, but that might just be me being somewhat delusional. But good luck, Ohio State. You're gonna need it. You're gonna hate this guy. It's not rocket science, and that's a pun because he's a rocket scientist. So, yeah, I was gonna have us predict ASU in Texas and Illinois football predictions. That's not happening this week. Very quickly, we will mention, I already mentioned the AC Illinois baseball game going on tomorrow. The only other thing I really want to bring up, and then maybe one quick quiz. We do have a few minutes, and we start a little bit early. I'm going to mention the fact that Patrick Mahomes ran out of black magic. Shout out to the Eagles, even though neither one of us are quite fond of them. Thank you for ending the 3P conversations. Thank you for ending the GOAT conversations. Patrick Mahomes has now been blown out in 2 Super Bowls. Brady might have lost to Eli Manning twice and Nick Foles, but, Brady's not at fault for the Foles one. If you believe otherwise, you're delusional. Just look up who was throwing the most yards in a Super Bowl. It was Brady in that game, 500 yards, and lost. Not his fault.
That's crazy.
But yeah, thank goodness the Chiefs lost. We could finally humble them a bit. Thoughts on this game really quickly. How you feeling? And do you think teams might finally figure out the Chiefs, or will they reset and continue to be the powerhouse they are?
Honestly, the loser team of the week may be the Fox Broadcasting crew. That scoreboard was absolutely
so
abysmal.
Bad. It was so
I know
bad.
there may have been like a bug that was happening, but still,
So
come on, that's bad. But actually, the Eagles from the coin toss had this game.
Yeah.
They were not walking out of New Orleans without the Super Bowl, and it showed. As for Kansas City, I mean, they always somehow find a way to retool their team. So I know Travis Kelsey was saying that there's going to be a lot of turnover this year because a lot of contracts are up. But, I mean, as long as Andy Reid is coaching the Kansas City Chiefs, I think they're always a contender, especially with Mahomes and Pacheco in the backfield, Kelsey. If they can shore up that offensive line a little bit again, they'll be back in it. It's not over. They're still there. You got to beat them. I mean, the Eagles beat them, but someone in the AFC has to beat them.
Someone AFC, see, not named Burrow needs to figure it out.
They need to take them down first. Nice. Yeah, no, I think Kansas City still got it. Congrats to the Eagles. That game was a blowout from the start. Even though it looks close, it was a blowout. Hurts proved a lot of people wrong, showing that he actually can throw with accuracy.
Proved us wrong. We had him like 9th on the list.
Yeah, the dude went out there and showed that, hey, Saquon may be our star on this offense, but when you stop him, I can step up and do it.
Yeah.
So, congrats to Hurts. We were wrong.
Yeah.
You did it.
I'll say really quick, the real loser team of the week are the New York Giants. If you know a Giants fan, go hug them, pray for them. I'm not fond of them, but my goodness. Talk about a colossal fumble of the bag. Could argue is like, well, if you kept Saquon, you would have ruined your draft pick. I don't care. You let a superstar go to your divisional rival and immediately be validated in his frustrations with your team. Immediately. I mean, this was like literally no hesitation. Immediately proved you the Giants are a bunch of clowns run by a bunch of morons. So massive, easily might be loser team of the year. You just watch Saquon have a historic year. He's just an offensive player of the year, and you just watch him win a Super Bowl in your division. So, on top of the fact that, another team in your division was in the conference championship, Jane Daniels. Giants are cooked. They are in a lot of trouble right now. Cowboys might not be in a great spot, but they at least have Dak and they have pieces. As long as you keep Micah, they're fine. Holy crap. Giants fans, I'm praying for you because it is just not looking good for y'all at all. So, really quickly, really fast, I did want to do one quiz. It'll take like 2 minutes.
Yeah, no, you're
I
good.
wanted to test your knowledge here.
Uh-oh.
Which is, it's back to baseball, so I was bringing up people. Can you name the 9 teams, or how many teams is here? 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 9 teams in MLB with over 10,000 losses all time.
10,000?
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah, so I'll give you 3 strikes, so we're not taking too much time here, I'll list them all off. So,
the A's, they have to be around it.
Believe it or not, no.
Wow. I'm gonna say the Cubs, not because they're a losing franchise, but because
they're on there. They're on there. They've just been around forever.
Yeah,
they're on there.
Let's see. Is Boston on there once again? Not
shockingly, no.
Wow.
They're not on the 10,000 wins list either, though, which blew my mind.
So, are they definition of mid?
They might be. They might be. When you have 8 or 9 rings, albeit it took 80 years to get half of those, hard to call them mid, but it is crazy that they're not on either.
Yeah. List. So if I say the Nationals, for example, were once the Senators, does that count or no?
I probably just stray away from that.
Okay. Tampa Bay. Actually, I don't know how old Tampa Bay is.
Oh.
Yeah. I think Tampa Bay is old. Or not old. Young. Cincinnati Reds.
Cincy's on there. Yeah. So Cubs are 4th. Reds are 5th.
Oof. The Giants have also been around for a long time. I would say the Giants.
10th. Yep, they're on there.
Oh, wow.
Oh, sorry, 9th. Not a 9.
I'm trying to go. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna clown on them. The Angels.
Nope. All right. That's your 3 strikes. So you got 3 out of 9, which honestly isn't bad. First is the Phillies. Classic Philly L. Mm-hmm. I can't say that. They literally just won a championship. But Atlanta Braves, 2nd. They have 10,949. They're about to join the Phillies as the only team with 11,000.
That's crazy.
The Pirates are in 3rd with 10,818. They're really old and really bad.
I should have thought of Pittsburgh.
Cubs have 10,767. I know you're trying to be nice. They're poverty. They're really bad. They've been around forever, and they're really bad.
Is the White Sox on the list?
No.
Oh, wow.
Surprisingly, no.
Wow.
The Reds have 10,765. So the Cubs and Reds are neck and neck right now. Cardinals, 10,400. The Orioles are really bad. They haven't been as long as anybody else on this list, but 10,000. They cracked it just this year, I think. The Dodgers, they just eclipsed it this year. Been around forever. And then, as you mentioned, the Giants, they just hit the list this year. So there's 6 going into 2024, or actually maybe 7. And then 2 or 3 of them had hit the list.
The fact that the Yankees and Boston aren't on it.
Hats off to the Yankees. That was my first guest on this, and they were not on it. As much as I hate the Yankees, that's insane.
That's impressive.
It is really impressive. They're on the 10,000 wins list,
and
not on the 10,000 losses.
Huh. Good for them.
So good for them, and good for the Reds. Really quick, by the way, first team ever created, and they're only 5th. It might be flipping with the Cubs a lot for a while.
I will say,
hats off to them too.
And they haven't been good for the last 10-ish years. So
yeah. So they were a pretty good team long time ago in the 70s with Pete Rose. So
good for them.
Cool. Well, any final thoughts before we head out?
No. Like I said, we're gonna hit this part of the year where we're going to be do more of these quizzes and
Hmm.
maybe
Testing our
having,
ball knowledge and
yeah,
testing our some of our opinions.
yep.
Um,
It'll be a little weird for a little bit, and then the MLB will start, and we'll have some more things to talk about because then it'll be NHL playoff season coming up.
yeah, NHL. We'll probably throw an NBA at that point too.
Yeah.
Maybe might as well. At least the major things. So, okay. Well, thank you all for joining. Go ACU, and we will see you all next week.